Tara, welcome back to the Retail Heart Podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's so fun to catch up with you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that I see you now at shows and get to have a chance to catch up with you in person. For those of you who are listening for the first time, Tara, this is her second time on being on the podcast. The first time we talked about her brand, which is Cedar and Cypress Designs. And now we're going to be talking about a totally different subject, which I'm so excited to dig into. But give everybody that hasn't heard you before, give everybody a little bit of an introduction to yourself and a little bit about your brand.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Thorn from Cedar and Cypress Designs. We're a jewelry company that is primarily made in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, which is a little stressful in the moment because there was a coup over the weekend. So we don't really know what's going to happen. The airport shut down and the gangs have totally taken over. Wow. So it's just really, I just don't even I don't know what to say about it. But I lived there for 5 years and they were the most amazing years of my life. I love Haiti. It's a beautiful island. It's it's attached to the Dominican Republic. It's right next to Puerto Rico, south of Cuba. But it's in a real bad situation right now. So we have a team of artisans there. We have a fair trade facility there. And so nobody's working right now. Everybody's kind of hunkering down, trying to stay safe, and we'll see what happens. But on the plus side, I have started this business in 2015, and we are so happy that we've been able to work with our artisans and that we have that facility there. And we make beautiful handmade jewelry. We do a lot with hand rolled ceramic. And then we do a lot of gold jewelry as well that just helps us to supplement when we can't get things out of Haiti because of situations exactly like this. So we hope that they don't happen often and that when they do happen, they end shortly after they start. So that's kind of the situation we're in. And that's kind of the long and short of it.
Well, before we go to the next subject, because for those who haven't heard or don't understand or don't follow the news of that, when you say the gangs attack, talk a little bit about that so everyone can kind of understand the situation that your artisans are living in, because you really don't get a grasp it until you can hear it firsthand of what's happening.
Yeah. So Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Just 800 miles off the coast of Florida. And about 2 years ago, our president was assassinated. And then after that, we had a prime minister step into power and there was a bit of a battle over power. And then the gangs have just started to rise up and are taking over both sides. They have taken over about 80% of Port-au-Prince, which is the capital city of 9 million people. And so that means I was just in Haiti last month. I was there for a week with our artisans and it was fine. It felt very safe. But we went from the airport to our artisan center and never left until we went back to the airport again. But our artisans, when they came down each day, were just you just kind of know who to message and say, is this road safe? Can we pass this way? You don't get yourself in a situation where you can't get back out. You take motos a lot of places. But at the same time, you don't want to close because then nobody's making money and they can't feed their families. The schools have been shut down primarily, although there's so much undercover where people will go, not put kids in school uniforms and still send them, or have smaller pods of stuff. But it just is, it's a war zone right now. And we're hoping, as of right now, the UN Special Forces in Kenya have signed a treaty to go into Haiti. But I mean, I don't know. It really took a turn this weekend, so I don't know what'll happen.
So when you say gangs have taken over, I mean, this is not in any comparison, but we've been watching Band of Brothers, and we're watching the books I've read. From what I understand, that the soldiers would go in and basically take over people's houses. They would kick the people out of the house, and all of a sudden the house they've been raised in or whatnot, all of a sudden they have to leave and these people have come in and taken over there. Is it very much the same? Just
very similar. Yeah. So we've had over the last 2 years, 3 years as this has been going on, we've had to move a lot of people. We had one specific, like one of our artisans was shot by like a stray bullet just because they'll just go in and just start shooting just everywhere. And so he was hit by a stray bullet. We did a small fundraiser for that. Yeah, you gave to that.
I just like my heart goes out. I can't, like, we as Americans don't realize, like, we may have disagreements on politics and all that, but you don't really realize how lucky you are until you hear about something like this. And when you guys did the fundraiser, which I love that you did, it was like, how could you not give? Because, I can even imagine we are so lucky as Americans. Yeah. When something happens, you have no idea. And it's like, that's why it's like the first thing I would do in a second.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. And like as Cedar and Cypress, when we first started, I was like, oh, I should be a nonprofit because that's what everybody was doing. And a friend of mine who is Haitian American said, why wouldn't you just be a business and prove that business can happen in Haiti, And so I did right off the bat. So we're not a nonprofit. I don't typically fundraise for stuff unless it's in extreme circumstances like that or like this. Occasionally for housing for, people that are displaced. But that's not the norm of what we do. So I appreciate that.
It's just a beautiful thing. Okay, so today we're talking about this new venture. I don't know how new it is. We're talking about a different venture altogether. And I'm like super excited to dig into this because you've changed roles. You're keeping on, obviously, your company, but you've taken on a whole new role. Talk a little bit about this.
Yes. So Kevlin, who you had on the podcast the other day from Festive Gal, we met in Best of Show, which is kind of how I got my start. My actual start, I guess, was in Minneapolis at the regional gift market we have here. And then being in Best of Show was like kind of, being in the big shows. We were in Atlanta and Las Vegas, just like her. And and then it kind of comes back to our roots. And I've since joined the Minneapolis MART board. I'm the marketing chair here. So I'm a board member and just really on this like big advocating for the MART.
I love that you've gone from, I love that you're involved in both. It's kind of like when we've had a lot of people on, this is what I'm going to compare it to, it may be wrong, but where, a lot of retailers are sitting on the Chamber of Commerce because I think it's important to be involved in the building that you are in. And you don't always have that situation and that opportunity, but I think anytime that you can be involved in the building that you're in or the Chamber of Commerce or something where you have a voice within what's going on, I think is really smart. Did so you started as a table in Best of Show, and this is one thing that I think Kevlin has spoken about is that Best of Show doesn't rep you all year long. You just show up at the show, you rep yourself, but it's not like road reps take your product on the road. So
correct.
Okay. So it's, that's the part that, cause it's a different setup than a lot of rep groups that
So we call it a non-rep room. So basically, when people walk in, we say, welcome to Best of Show. We're a non-rep room, which means you'll get to meet with all the, a lot of the owners or individual groups of people, artisans. A lot of the time, it's like the actual person that's, owning the company that's wearing all the hats. And in small businesses, a lot of the time, you are just one person wearing all the hats until you really like take off. And then all of a sudden you hired 8 people in 1 week. But for the most part, for a lot of people, how they get their start is it's just you. So it's such a great way to get your foot in the door. And I'm going to like equate that greatness to a regional market like Minneapolis MART, because in Best of Show, you're in a rep room, you can tend to get lost. And I love rep rooms. I have no ill will against any of the models. But it's nice that you can be there and advocate for yourself. In someplace like the Minneapolis MART, it's smaller. It's much less intimidating. So if you're newer, if you're a new store or if you're a new brand, it's a great way to really get your foot in the door and start learning about wholesale, talking to customers, meeting one-on-one. There's so many people that we meet that it's their first time, but then we also have really big companies there like Snoozies and Brewmate. So, you know, you kind of have the gamut of it, which is great.
So you open your own showroom. Is your showroom, is it kind of the same setup as Best of Show where it's you rep?
It is.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's like a non-rep room. I just, you know, I've never done rep, so I don't really know that world. So I didn't feel like I could jump into it, but I can sell anything for anyone, really, except my own self. I have a really hard time selling my own brand, which is silly, but like, you know, I can sell Kevlin's party crowns all day long because I can be like, look at this amazing crown that my friend makes and she employs 8 women and aren't they amazing? Whereas to say to myself, I'm like, look at this thing I designed. Do you like it? Like, it just sounds, I just have
weird. It's hard. So funny, but you're so close to it. So I don't know why not. So how many lines do you have in your showroom? What's the square footage of it?
So we are about 800 square feet and we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're 6 brands. And yeah, it's great. And several of them are made in Haiti. Cause whatever I do, I like to bring my friends along. So a lot of them are made in Haiti or they're people that I've met honestly through Best of Show. So, Caitlin from Fun Club is in our room and, she doesn't come to the shows. I kind of like hire people to help us with that because her line sells itself. And then we have Save the Girls, which is a great brand. They donate 10% back to breast cancer research. Tammy is a huge advocate of Cedar and Cypress. And
so you grouped these women together that you all have worked together, some of your Haiti friends, and now you have this bigger showroom. How did you decide to make the jump to get more involved with the Mart?
Yeah, as like a small business, individually owned, like I really believe in what we're doing at the Mart and in advocating for just all types of businesses and especially like how people get their start. Like I love helping people and I guess you could maybe a little bit say I like to tell people what to do, but I like to help people. And I think that a regional market like the Minneapolis Mart is a great way for people to do that, to start and kind of figure out how to do wholesale and then a great jumping off point. But also it's a great supplemental market for those of us that are around here. It's can be expensive to drive to or to fly to Dallas. I mean, we're smack in the middle. So our options are New York, LA, and Las Vegas.
But LA has nothing new.
Yeah. So really it's like we needed something here. And I think things are cyclical and, you know, we had a little dip and now I feel like we're starting to fill up again. We're getting a lot of new stores. You know, I know all the Marts kind of try to like take from each other and I get it. Like there's only so many people out there, but at the same time, there's enough. So yeah, I just think there's so much value in a regional market and I really believe in what we're doing. And I think that it's a great comfortable way. Like we have people that like myself, I'm in Dallas too. And I get sometimes just as many, if not more orders here than I do in a show like Dallas because Dallas has 16 floors, 2 buildings, whereas Minneapolis Mart is 1. We're smaller. We're a lot smaller, you know, almost 100,000 square feet. So way smaller really. But everybody walks every 100,000 square feet because you can do it all and you can see everything. And then you get to see all the different stuff.
So tell me really fast, because I know a lot of people are like, what's the difference between a regional building and, you know, like a Dallas? So explain that so everyone kind of understands what a regional is.
So regional, I would just say, and correct me if I'm wrong, because to be honest, you've been in this industry way longer than me, but I see regional as just like a smaller market that might kind of hit like your 5, 6 states.
Yeah.
And maybe somewhere that you could drive into. In a lot of ways, some people are calling Dallas still a regional market because it is. I mean, it's regional to Texas, and Texas is the size of 5 states. But, versus like the national shows, which would be like the Atlanta, Las Vegas.
Tell me a little bit, because I miss having a regional build. Like LA used to have the LA Mart, and in its heyday, before the crash and before everything that's happened. But in its heyday, I think there was 12 or 13 floors. I mean, it was furniture. It had a temp space. It had like almost every single floor and every single big brand. And it's like so incredibly sad that now it's like literally like, it's 2 showrooms, Stephen Young and Karen Howell. And those are 2 big enough showrooms that you could still go there for the day. But talk to me a little bit about what it looks like at the Minneapolis MART. So you said it's 1 building. How many floors is it? Is there a restaurant? Like, give us kind of a little bit of like what a day is like as a buyer going to a smaller venue.
Yeah. So it's really nice because you can, park in our little parking lot and everything is right there. So you walk in. We don't have a restaurant, but we have a company that comes and caters for us. So you can get, all the things that you could get in the restaurant, and a little cafe area. And then we have 4 wings and they're like a square. So it's laid out like 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares. And then and then there's a middle. So you can walk around each one, and in each one and we have Ann McGilvery here. We have some really big showrooms and they're big supporters of the Mart, and they got their start here, as well. And it's nice because it's a little bit more low key, comfortable, less stress. You can walk into a showroom and know that you're welcome there and that you don't necessarily need an appointment. And sometimes I think you can be like, can I go in here? Am I allowed in here? Do I need an appointment? Do I have to show you my like $10,000 credit limit to walk in?
And with the building also has apparel.
Yeah. So we have apparel in there too, which is fantastic. And actually we just got, some fun new companies. Like we have Nike now. So if you want to start carrying Nike, we have North Face. So we have some really big names where, I mean, obviously you have to still meet their minimums, but they're there. And then we have Tribal, which is one of my favorite brands. All sorts of different apparel showrooms, gift showrooms, souvenir showrooms, small business, woman owned, like all the good things that I think, you switch from that Amazon big box mentality to what I think stores want to have, which is smaller, craftsman made, independent places. And we have that plus the big stuff.
I miss having a smaller marketplace nearby. I'll tell you, it's when I was buying, just to be able to just get in the car. And even if it was like, flying into San Francisco because San Francisco is like non-existent now too. And it's like, I miss having something in your back pocket, especially for, the stores that do a lot of volume. And it's like, unless you're waiting it out and you're writing orders stacked out, like I write orders, say in the beginning of the year, start ship 2/1, completion 2/30. But you have to, if you're only doing the big shows, you have to write 6 months worth of orders just to carry you through. But something like this and having a smaller Mart that's in your back pocket that you can go do a day trip or an overnight even, because Atlanta and Dallas, most of those showrooms are open all year long. And they are not inexpensive to fly into and stay. And it's like, if you are closer to a Mart like yours, it's like, just to be able to go, like, I'm going to go and do fill-in orders, or I'm just going to go some new things or you sold out of stuff that's way faster than you thought. It's like, if you're really relying on the 4 times a year show or 2 times a year show, like you're kind of screwed in that in between time.
Right. And especially like, what if a new trend pops up that you like can't get on because it wasn't a trend in January and now all of a sudden they're everywhere and you're like, oh my gosh, I need mushrooms, which I know you forecast about a while ago.
Mushrooms.
or like lighting is really big right now. So I need to get lighting and I didn't get it in January. So being able to fill in, like we have actually, a market starting this week. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get there. Like, is it silly to call and make an appointment with a couple people right now? Cause I need it like tomorrow, but
within the building. So there's apparel. Is there lighting? Is there furniture showrooms there as well?
Not furniture. Sorry. Lighting is in like, those flame candles.
Yeah.
Like the little, like that kind of lighting. We don't have a lot of furniture. There's a couple of like patio furniture, rep rooms, and like we have like Will's company who is local and they do a lot of like garden, home and gift and stuff like that, and some lighting. They kind of have everything, which is good. So, but not, I wouldn't say furniture like out in High Point.
I love also that you guys, I've watched a little bit of your interview with Ashley from Boutique Hub, who I've had Ashley on. I absolutely love everything she stands for.
Yes.
It sounds like in one of your answers that a lot of the products there in the showrooms are very curated because they're smaller brands that you're not going to find. And I've said this since day one about doing the big shows, is that you need to go in every single showroom, because in those showrooms, like, you may not think it looks like you, but you are missing out if you're not going in and looking for something. Because a lot of those places, it's like, that's where you're going to find the pet rock. And it sounds like the Mart, because it is smaller, because it's not all the big brands. There's a lot of stuff you're able to find that your neighbors aren't going to have. And I think that's another reason why I go to some of these buildings like this that don't, the big brands are great and I love them, but we're all shopping from the same gene pool. So to be able to find smaller brands that are a little bit more indie, that are a little bit more curated, that, you usually see in temps or stuff like that, like, to be able to go and find them. Yeah. Sounds amazing. Are you open year round?
We are open every day, but a lot of the showrooms are like by appointment. Like, I'm not there every day. So if somebody wanted to come and shop in our showroom, you'd have to just email us and we could go, because the building itself is open every day year round. But then we do have 6 shows a year. So we're more frequent than like the national shows, Las Vegas and Atlanta. But
which is great.
Really, it's like every 6 weeks.
That's great. I know. And we talked about this and we talked about the airing time, and I was looking, because looking at the calendar, I'm like, which one is like the big one? And it was like, they're all equally, quote, big. I mean, they're all, where everyone shows up. Or do you have temps there as well? Or is it, just for the most part, the show?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, we do have temps too. Yeah, which is great, because then it gets even like more curated. Or, I'm at the bigger shows too. So whenever I see certain companies where I'm like, hey, you would be really good. Like, you are from Iowa. Why don't you try temping at our Minneapolis show too? And so we'll pull in some of those people too from other temps, because I just like to, I like to curate and get all the good stuff. So we do have a lot of temps. And some of my friends that like are, dear friends now, I met in the temps in Minneapolis, and now I see them in Dallas all the time. So we end up seeing each other like, twice a month, which is fun. But yeah, we do have temporaries. So
we have a lot of wholesale brands who are listening as well. And I know one of the things that everyone talks about doing the big shows is that there's obviously a large cost to it. And, for the small brands, it's like, it's hard to cough up some of it sounds like also your temps, because you have them so often, it sounds like the costs are nowhere near as exorbitant as if you're going to show a New York Now or, Dallas temps, which for new brands who are emerging and who want to have that experience of like getting your feet wet in temps, like talk a little bit about what it looks like to do temps in the Minneapolis Mart.
Yeah. So I don't know exact prices, but I'm going to say like, to do a temp in Minneapolis Mart, it's under $1,000. I know that. So for under $1,000 for a 3 or 5 day show, is huge. If you know the prices of what it is for temps, it's like $5,800 to do temps. A 2 day show in Magic Nashville is like $6,000.
I know.
2 days. And, you know,
I have no idea how much it costs to do these shows for our poor.
It's insane. Yeah. And so you can come here and, you know, we're right by the airport. You can grab an Uber. You're in, you know, Minneapolis. We're not in downtown Minneapolis, which to me, I think is just safe. But then again, I was in Haiti last month, so maybe don't listen to me on that. But it is safe. You know, so we're just in the west suburbs and there's food all around. We have tons of hotels. We're on all the hotel lists. So like, you know, I get lists all the time about, you know, looking to book your hotel in Las Vegas for Magic. And then I'll get, you know, would you like to book your Minneapolis hotel? So we're on all the national lists that people are sending out. And so it's so much more attainable in so many ways. You know, it's less stressful, because everybody's coming by and chatting with you and being very nice. And it's, you know, I just feel like it's financially less stressful, and just kind of like overall emotionally less stressful because I think our temporaries make their spaces look really nice and our showrooms look really nice too. But I get intimidated sometimes walking around like have you ever walked around High Design in Atlanta? I mean, whoa, it's intimidating. I mean, and I love a good packaging and I love a good booth design. But it's nice to just kind of do it like on a low key, smaller scale to where you just feel all around more comfortable. And whether that means this is your first market, if you've never done a market before and you're a wholesaler and you're looking to jump into wholesale, 1000% recommend doing something like the Minneapolis MART. But if you've also been doing this for 20 years and you want to, you know, do the Minneapolis MART, I 1000% recommend that too. You know, it's for all of us.
What are some of the big box, I call them big box, but who are some of the big brands that are represented? That Anne McGilvery, I'm assuming that she has all the publishing companies, you know, Chronicle,
yes.
Which
Chronicle.
We all know books takes forever to write. So it's like right there, you know, you already have a half a day in one showroom. So talk about some of the other big brands or showrooms that are represented there.
Yeah. So we have we have Diverse Marketing and Diverse Marketing Toy. So they're here with us. We have like Will's company, who I mentioned is a local home and gift. But they're, you know,
which is great. That right there is already like,
yeah, they're fantastic. And it's third generation, like Minnesota owned. They're just the sweetest ever. And she's also on our board. And then we have Brewmate and Snoozies and, you're putting me on the spot, which is really stressful. But we have Baby Room and, like I said, Tribal. And we do like a great, it's right over there, but we have like a great magazine. And so it lists all of our brands. You can go to the website and it lists everybody, that you're looking for as well. And it lists it by, you know, by showroom, you know, like all the different ways that you can find it. And it's such an easy mark to navigate because you walk in and everything's like right there.
How many floors is it?
We're one floor.
One floor. Wow. Okay. So one floor and then the 4 quads. Do they have it broken up? Like, is all the apparel all in one area or is it all kind of interspersed throughout the whole thing?
We're pretty interspersed. Yeah. So we have kind of some of the apparel tend to be in, most of them are in one area, but then there's some others kind of around.
Which I love. To me, that's like, that's my favorite way to shop. I mean, I'm ADD too. So like my brain is like, oh, look at this. And then, now I'm looking at apparel. Like, but I think I love being able to do that. I feel like you actually accomplish more when you shop like that. That's just me.
Yeah.
But I love that it's interspersed because I also think that, you know, energy creates energy, and sometimes apparel showrooms are busier and sometimes gift showrooms are busier. So they all kind of feed off others' energy depending on, you know, where the people are going that day. What is the next show coming up?
So we actually have a show, we're recording this in March. So we have a show starting Friday, but then after that we have, I don't know it off the top of my head. Sorry. Can I grab my calendar?
It's every 6 weeks. So that's the beauty of this. I mean, that's honestly why I miss LA Mart so much is that there was always a chance to go down and do this. And it's like, if you have a situation where there's temps like every 6 weeks, oh my God, that is,
yeah,
that's like, I love that idea. I mean, it's temps is always, to be honest, has always been my favorite part of the show. Is like hands down. It's new. It's always where, a brand new line's the first chance they have to break out. They haven't been signed by a big agency yet. They're not everywhere. So to me, like, I will always hit temps before everything.
Yeah. Okay. So we have March 8th through 12th. And then we have another one, April 28th through 30th. So just a 3-day show. And then we have another June show, the 9th to the 11th.
That one's going to be.
And then our next 5-day show, like our big show for Christmas and all that kind of stuff, 26th to the 30th of July. And then we have an October show. So it's like, they just keep going.
I wish so much. I really, like I started to say, I miss so much having a mart that you could drive to, or, a short to. And Vegas, I love, and we were super close to Vegas, but they're only open 2 times a year. For those who you don't know that, it's like when you're only open 2 times a year, you really are, if you, like I said, if you haven't done all your shopping, you haven't mapped it out for 6 months, like you really are reliant on what you ride at show versus this, where it's like right in your backyard or a quick flight and be able to like shop easy. I mean, I'm super envious that I'm not closer to this, because that's like,
I know. Yeah, it's fun. Or like I had the opportunity to sign a new store, but that opportunity showed up in February and then we opened in March. So now that's why I'm like waiting for the Mart this weekend, because I'm like, well, I can stock it with a lot of what I have, but because I also have a gift store on top of owning the brand.
Let's talk about that for a second, because
Sure.
Now you opened, did you just say you signed a lease for a second space?
Yeah, I did.
Holy shit. Oh my God. Okay.
I know. It was like a lot of.
We need to dig into this a little bit. You opened your first store last year, or was it last year?
Yeah. So yes and no. So I actually opened a store back in 2017 with a friend of mine, as like our businesses were like kind of like part-time. And then in 2019, they tore the building down, or our half of the building, and offered to move us, and our businesses were just taking off. And that was when I started doing Best of Show. And so we declined to move and we closed the store, and that we closed December of 2019. Then of course we all know the pandemic hit in January 2020.
There's a bullet there.
Yeah. And so then wholesale really took off and was full time. And then I moved, I needed a warehouse that was like no longer in my garage. And so I signed a space that had enough space in the front to be a gift store. And I miss buying, and I'm always at the shows. I'm always at a lot of shows, and I know all these great people. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do warehouse in the back and gift store in the front. So we opened our first flagship store for Cedar and Cypress. So we carry all of our friends. And then apparel, some other woman-owned stuff, a lot of stuff out of Haiti, and then obviously our own jewelry line. And then, so that is just amazing. And then it's the warehouse in the back. So it's like there's this wall that was already built there, and then behind it is just like all of our like jewelry and all of my chaotic mess of everything.
Like I love that there, Rare Forms in Chicago. She's a wholesale card line. She opened up her own retail space. And you guys, like, since you are doing the shows all the time, I mean, it cracks me up because she'll leave her booth and she'll go write lines, and then she'll come back.
I do that.
I think that's brilliant. What a great way. And there's a couple other, Chez Gagne, I think, opened a store as well for a little bit, but now you're opening your second store.
Yeah. So we had this opportunity for somebody that had moved out of a space, and it was in December, and a couple of group of people got together and were like, hey, let's kind of do like a collective here. So I have done that style in the past. Like my first store had a lot of local Minnesota artisans. So we did a lot of consignment with them. And And then I did a store actually in the Mall of America that was kind of like a pop-up thing. Oh. So it was, everybody had a 10 by 10. So our store opened at 10 by 10 in Mall of America. And then it was like, it was interesting to see the progression of that, because at first everybody had their own checkout. And then it was like, okay, this like quad shares a checkout. And then it was like, okay, everybody is at one checkout. So that was what, I encouraged us to do for this. We, ran it through one checkout, and then it was, it's local people. And then, we had our stuff in there. And then they wanted a longer lease instead of month to month. Like at first it was for December. And then she was like, well, do you want to extend for January and then February? And then she said, do you want to do a longer lease? And the woman who was currently having the month to month lease is actually an interior designer. And she was like, no. And I was like, yes, please.
That's so you're going to run it like almost like a co-op.
Kind of, yeah. And it's similar model to my original store, which was called Gathered Goods. And so we have like 8 local artisans. And then I have clothes in there, which are not all local and from everywhere else. And, we have some other like gift and home stuff that, sells really well. And then we have all these local people, and then I give them the opportunity to work it, because we all know that if you're working it, you're going to sell your best. Like we have a watercolor artist who sold one of her original paintings last week because she was in the store working and made the connection with the customer. And it's perfect. And to be honest, it saves me on staffing it. So they're able to be in there, talk to customers, and then it's a huge opportunity for them. And we're in a really nice area. We're on the lake. So we have a big bay window that overlooks the lake.
Wow.
It was like a store I couldn't pass up. Like when I first came to Minnesota, this was like the dream store that I had. And now we have it. So I'm so excited.
So I have so many questions, and I'm like, what time is it? When you do a store like this, are the people designing their own spaces, or are you designing the overall space and they're going in so it's cohesive? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, again, control issues.
Love that you say that.
So, yeah. So for the first, no shame in my game.
Not mine.
I may live in Minnesota, but I'm from upstate New York. So I'll just, I'll say it how it is. So I've had stores for the last 8 years. I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm no Michelle Terrier at all, but I kind of know what I'm doing. And a lot of the times artisans maybe don't. So when it wasn't my store for those first 3 months, I officially got the keys March 1st. So for those first 3 months, I kind of just gave direction, and it was sometimes listened to and sometimes not. And then when we got the keys, it all got redone, things got painted, shelves got put up, shelves got taken down. And I kind of, for the most part, keep things together. But then some stuff, I'll be like, oh, this candle looks really good on this cutting board with this piece of jewelry in this. So I'll intersperse them if they look right. But for the most part, we kind of keep it collected, because we have a food vendor, or we have gift stuff, or we have baby, and the same person tends to do all of those items. So it makes sense. But in the lease, I said that as the owner, I have final say and I'm allowed to move things around.
So it's almost like I just interviewed the guys that own Agora Antique Mart, which is out here, or I say out here like I'm still in California. California, it's like this amazing antique mall, because they come out of antique malls, but theirs is they own it, and the vendors have been there for 20 plus years. So, but it's, and you walk in as a customer, it's so cohesive. It doesn't look like you are walking into an antique, this person's this.
Right.
And that's sometimes what makes me crazy about antique shops. But, for the people that do it right, you don't have that feeling, and then you don't have inventory, but it's cohesively when you walk in, it reads as one brand.
Yeah, that's how we did it. So as long as everything's clearly marked, there's not really a need to keep it, for the most part, if it flows better and it does flow better, we keep it that way. But there is a lot that we did kind of intersperse, especially with the home and gift. Like we have a pet section we do have like 2 people that have pet stuff. So that's more, but it looks very cohesive. I don't really think it looks like this person, this person, this person.
I have so many questions. like who are they running their own spaces, or are you staffing it? And they
yeah, we're doing it all. So, all the vendors were kind of there, and then, I have 2 sizes, so you can pick size A at X amount of dollars, and then size B for, at Y amount of dollars. And then you can work you can work a day a month, and we're open 11 to 5. So you can work 1 day a month, and that's worth $50 off your next month rent. Oh. So if you want to work, 4 days, then that's $200 off your next month rent. So that's huge for a lot of people. So if your margins aren't there, but you're able to have the time. So I just did a training video and went around and talked about like all the different brands, and then we'll throw that up on like YouTube or Loom, and then people can watch it. And then, and it also shows how to do the checkout. So we'll do one-on-one trainings, but then I'm going to be like, hey, you did this wrong. Could you rewatch the training video?
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love there's another store that I interviewed that's in Joshua Tree that it's kind of the same thing. And it's like, it's so smart. I mean, I've said this. Yeah. Before. I truly think that this is a lot of what retail is going to look like in the future, because thinking outside of the box, you're not carrying all of the shoulder of all the rent. You're not carrying the shoulder. Right. I mean, you're essentially carrying it, but with these, I mean, it's like, I think it is so smart, and to be able to tap into all these new artists and all this new thing, and you're curating it as you go along. I mean, I think it's really, when it's already been open. So are you having a grand reopening or anything?
We are. So this is March, which is my birthday month. So we're going to do like a big, like grand reopening birthday party type thing at the end of the month, like kind of mix and mingle. So a lot of the vendors that are in there haven't all met each other. So we'll have the vendors there and then the people there. We had a really mild winter in Minnesota. And so even though it's March, typically you wouldn't be, out walking around, but a lot of people have been out walking around and stuff. So, we've had the door open. So we'll kind of have this like, open house meet and greet, come visit mixer thing, birthday party.
Congratulations. I'm so excited for you. I'm in complete awe because you're wearing a lot of hats, and, I mean, you really are wearing a lot of hats, and I know you know where this next question is going because you got asked it before. How do you balance all of this, and what do you do for yourself in order to create calm and balance with as many?
Yeah. So, the behind the scenes of my life looks very disorganized. But I actually, Missy from Twisted Wares, a dear friend of mine recommended a book called Buy Back Your Time. And I have been reading that and have been recommending it to everyone, and it has changed my life. I have hired a manager for my store in my first store here that has the warehouse. And so she does all my wholesale, and then all of that stuff. I hired an executive assistant, who is doing like all my emails and stuff. And when you do it right, they pay for themselves. So yeah, it's very stressful to be like hiring people, but they're literally buying back my time and paying for their own things. So this is all like, I've hired like 3 key people in the past like month.
Wow.
And it's been game changer for me. Like so much stuff. I I am not really great on like customer service. So I just gave my girl at my store, I was like, here's my email password. Like, and that's what the book says is hire a gatekeeper. You shouldn't be doing your own emails. Like certain customer service things, like, yes, you should definitely, be doing. But she's my gatekeeper. So she's reading it and then she's either deciding that, okay, I can answer this easily, or this needs to be passed on to Tara and she put it in my folder and then I address it. It's been huge.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that you are running essentially 3 different businesses, and your customer service for your wholesale line is totally different than your customer service for your retail store. So you've got it coming in on all avenues. So that is brilliant. I'll make sure we list this book in the show notes. Tell everyone some of your handles, both for the Minneapolis Merchandise Mart as well as your brand, Cedar and Cypress.
Yeah. So for the Mart, we're at MPLS MART on Instagram and Facebook. It might be spelled out Minneapolis Mart, but either way, you'll find us, Minneapolis Mart. And then for Cedar and Cypress, we are Cedar and Cypress Designs, and that's like my wholesale and like that's all of me is there. So, and we're on Facebook and Instagram, and I feel like I need to start mentioning LinkedIn because is that a thing again?
I never have engaged in it. I always equated it, and this is my, like, what I thought TikTok was all dancing, but I always equated it's like if you need a job, it's like, I realize that it is a big networking tool. I just haven't, I realized it at all. Like I will throw things every now and then where it's like, I don't see traction from it because I don't do anything with it. So
I know. It's always, I always quote Ashley from the Boutique Hub on this is it's a gym membership. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. You can't just sign up for the gym and then never go and expect to lose 10 pounds. So you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Good point.
And I think it's the same. But by the time this airs, we will have a TikTok because I got rid of it. And then my marketing person that I hired was like, no, you need to have it. So my executive assistant, I said, guess what you get to do?
So will that be for Cedar and Cypress, or will that be for the Merchandise Mart?
That'll be for Cedar and Cypress.
Very exciting. I can't wait. And then your stores have a separate Instagram?
So the store is Shop Cedar and Cypress. And then the new store that we just opened is called the Pop Collective. So we started as a pop-up. So I thought, what a great name, the Pop. Like, it's super fun to say. And so even though we're fully popped and staying there, we're still keeping the Pop Collective.
I love it. We'll make sure we have links in all of this. Thank you so much for your time. I love this conversation.
Thank you.
It's like, I know we were talking about one thing, and then it was like with the new store, I'm all, okay, we're going to go touch.
I know.
We have to. Thank you so much. And for everybody that is within the area, I highly suggest it. I say it all the time, is that you have to be as a good buyer. And if you are running against all these other retailers and you are trying to find things that your neighbors don't, I highly suggest looking into smaller marts like this, because it is a gold mine of product that you may or may not see at the big show. So take advantage of it. And I can't wait to have everybody go out and see. And if you do, let us know what you think. But thank you.
Yeah.